and welcome back to my channel. Today I thought I'd do a quick spoiler-free review for a very popular book that I read around Christmas time, and that is The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. This is a super popular fantasy book and a really big one at that. It is just over 800 pages long, so it is not for the faint of heart, but everyone was talking about it, so I thought I would pick it up. Which generally is not something that ever works out for me, if I'm being honest. A lot of hyped books don't seem to be ones that I enjoy, but I had high hopes for this because I love fantasy, it's my favourite genre, and I thought that a book this long would really get me into the story, really work very well on character development, and really enthrall me. So if you didn't know what this book is about, we are following a couple of main characters living in this fantasy realm that is run by a queendom, so something a bit different to what is generally spoken about and discussed in fantasy novels. And the queen is one of the characters that we do follow and see a lot of her emotions, things that are going on in her life. There is also this secret sort of organisation or group of people called the Priory, so we get to learn about them. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to ruin anything, but we are following multiple characters and how their stories intertwine with each other over the course of the book. There's a fair bit of political intrigue in this novel, but I would say the main focus is in on the dragons, who are a huge part of this book, and also just the characters. Definitely a character-driven novel. I personally didn't find that the plot was actually very strong. There were points in the book where I thought, what is actually happening right now? Is there anything going on, or are we just talking? Very dialogue heavy, this book, which for a book that is over 800 pages long, you would expect to have a bit more description and maybe a bit more exploration into the world. I couldn't really tell you what the world looks like. I don't think it was explored as much as what it maybe should have been. It didn't feel very adventurous. If you like character-driven stories, I do think that this would be a good one for you. We are following, as I say, multiple different characters, but you do really get to know the personalities of all of them and the relationships that they have with each other. I did find that connection when we were watching scenes between certain characters. I did feel emotionally invested in those. However, the story just wasn't strong enough for me personally. I do think that if this book was a little bit shorter, I probably would have enjoyed it a bit more. 800 pages is a lot, especially when it's just filled with dialogue and character development. I would have liked some big scenes showing some huge landscapes, maybe exploring some of the cities, the queendom a bit more. I also found the pacing to be very strange. At the start it's quite fast paced, you get chucked straight into the action, and I feel like things are happening quite quickly for the characters as well. However, towards the final half of the book, things really start to go a lot slower, and I did find myself struggling in the last quarter, and the last 20 pages, for some reason, everything happened all at once, very quickly, and then that was it. It's almost as if the author was looking at the fact that they'd written almost 800 pages and thought, oh, I haven't wrapped this up yet, I should probably do that now. I don't know, just for me it felt too long. I know some people really enjoy the fact that it's such a long book because you can really sink into it, but I just didn't enjoy it the whole way through, so it made it kind of a negative experience for me. I don't hate the book by any means, but it's just not my favourite, and I don't really understand the hype behind it. I find a lot of the times with hyped books, my expectations are so very high because everyone has just positive things to say about it, and then when I go to read it and I'm not completely blown away by it, I'm always disappointed. This book focuses on very strong female figures. Obviously you've got the queendom itself, but a lot of strong characters in terms of the political side are female. However, the queendom itself can only run if the queen chooses a husband, which seems outdated if you're trying to create a more modern style of fantasy. I don't know, it's just something that I personally noticed that I found kind of ironic. Overall, as much as I really enjoyed the character development, I just wasn't enthralled by this book. It didn't blow me away. At the time, I honestly can't remember what I rated it, but looking back now, a month later, reflecting on it, I've actually donated the book. I haven't kept it on my shelves, hence why I'm not holding it up here. So clearly it can't have done an awful lot for me. However, I am glad that I gave it a go, and as I say, I didn't dislike it, so I think it has to be a 3-star. It's just quite mediocre personally. I don't think it's something that I'm going to remember. I actually had to look up the book and the synopsis to remind myself of what happened before filming this video, and it's only been a month since I read it. So yeah, I'm sorry it's not more of a glowing review, but I thought I'd give you my honest thoughts on it since it is such a popular book. I do understand so many people love it, and if you did enjoy it, then I'm very happy for you, but for me it just fell a little bit flat. So yeah, that is my review for The Priory of the Orange Tree. Please let me know down below if you're thinking of reading this one, or if you have read it, what you thought to it. I'd also be interested to know any fantasy recommendations that you may have for me. I've read a fair amount, but I definitely haven't read anything out there, so if you have a favourite book or favourite series, please leave it down below, and hopefully I can check that out this year or next year. But that is everything from me today. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!